So I was mindlessly scrolling on Twitter one day, like some of us do. You can go on two different directions. You can go smart way, learn some cool things, some interesting stuff, whatever found about it. Or you can go the deep end, but that's for a different day. I came across this one article, I guess, if you want to call it, something that happened in February of 1959, where nine hikers, Russian hikers, disappeared in the Ural Mountains in the northern neck of Russia. They call it the Dyatlov Pass. It's basically the death of the Dyatlov hiking group, is what they call it for the locals. And the backstory is nine experienced hikers, seven males, two females. One was led by a guide to expeditioner. So, they're basically trying to get their third certification for their climbing. Third certs are basically those who climb Everest, like experienced, well known, experienced hikers. They were going on a trek through the mountain pass, got caught up in a storm, and you would think that you get caught up in a storm, you pitch a tent, you wait it out and move on, right? Well, this didn't really happen. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. All nine bodies were found, right? But here's where it gets a little bit weird. The tents were ripped up from the insides. Three of the nine members were found in a tree, mind you, scratched up, naked. The other two or three were found in a river, which was maybe like 100 yards away from that, and one was in a cave. I think it was. I can't remember exactly, or somewhere nearby. But this is what they claimed it to be. Six of them died of hypothermia, while the other three were killed by physical trauma. Makes sense. You get caught up in the tree. What are you doing up in a tree? Naked, especially in the middle of winter. One of the victims had major skull damage. Two had severe chest trauma. The other had small crack in his skull. Four of the bodies were found dead, in a creek. Three of them damaged soft tissue of the head and face. Two of the bodies had missing eyes. One had a missing tongue. One had a missing eyebrow. And they concluded to be compelling natural forces that caused the death. So, is
Sounds
it
like
the
bath
Russian
salts.
Yeti?
Why is the missing eyebrow a thing?
That's what it came up to be, like the autopsy and everything like that. But all of that kind of makes sense if it was like an avalanche, or like you get caught up in like the ice sheets or whatnot. But a missing tongue, that's very, very specific.
So real quick, first,
do it.
I want to say that the found them in the trees part, because I have dove pretty deep into this, is actually from a mistranslation, where the guy who found them said that they were in the cedars, and he meant like that they were at the base of the cedars, and then it was reported as they were found in the trees, like that they were on the tree line. But the same guy also said, and they have it in the initial report for it, that like branches were broken off of these cedar trees as well. And like for them to be frozen and how thick the cedar trees were, like you couldn't just break those with your hands or like by hanging on them. Like they had to be sawed off or cut down or something.
Some big, like some force.
Yeah, like some force to it. And then also the two bodies that were found in the cedars, there was a evidence of a fire nearby, like that they had tried to set a fire for it. And it looked like something had put that fire out. Like not something like natural, but like the fire just, something came to extinguish the fire.
And the other thing that really kind of caught my, I was like, what the hell? Is the fact that the tents were ripped open from the insides.
And the bodies, so Russia
And they're all
came out.
naked. Like
Russia came out and said that there was an avalanche that fell, and that it scared them while they were in their tents. So they cut the tents open, went running, and the avalanche killed them. Right, and then the 3 that didn't die from hypothermia, 2 of them, their autopsy revealed, died from head trauma and 1 from chest trauma. But all the bodies were found at minimum a mile away from the campsite. So,
which is a far hike, and when you with the weather that they said was happening there, to hike a mile in a blizzard, that's kind of wild.
With a crushed chest,
yeah,
or a crushed skull to fucking hike a mile.
It usually takes an average human 20 minutes to walk a mile on regular surface. Think about in the weather. That's a 40-minute, maybe an hour trek alone.
They were all very experienced hikers. Done this shit before.
Very experienced.
They're also all very young, but there is all the evidence points to the fact of hypothermia. Because once you get hypothermia, your what's it called? The front part of your brain?
Hippocampus.
Thank you. It starts to dysfunction, and you hallucinate, and you fucking act crazy. Most of the people of the 20 to late 20-year-olds all had each other's clothes on. One guy was in his underwear. There's evidence of them giving clothes to each other, but they were all found miles apart from each other. So they separated at some point. So my theory is that the tent crushing and shit and being ripped open and all that kind of shit, they just lost their fucking minds. Because they were cold.
But how do you lose your mind over a journey that you're already experiencing? You're together. This wasn't the first night that they're spending alone overnight together.
It's not about being alone, dude. It's about the fact that it got so cold and they were not prepared for it. I mean, you said there was a storm.
But they were experts. They should have known.
Experts. They should have.
This was also in 1959, right? So let's. I
mean, it's not. I mean,
make that a thing, right? Because
they were still hiking before that. They're in northern Russia. First of all, they know the region.
They didn't have thermal technology back then. They didn't have the kind of insulation that we have now. You can wear layers all you want, but it won't help you in a blizzard.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're experts, they would have known.
The tents aren't the same build as they are now. You know what I mean? There's no insulation anywhere. It's either you have a fire or you're just gonna die.
So there was also a 10th hiker. There was a 10th hiker who 3 days into the hike got really sick, and so did not continue on and went away.
Them up.
So he got called in to identify the remains and make sure that it was them. And he reported finding pieces of a military uniform, military tape on it. And let's also not forget that the bodies were radioactive as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge part of it.
Because every body's slightly radioactive.
So,
yeah, but then they wouldn't have
We have potassium in our blood.
Yeah, but the levels of radiation were high enough to even mention it. You know,
yeah, but I mean,
they wouldn't mention it if it was at regular levels of radiation that we.
There's no radiation anywhere where they were. What could possibly have done?
Well, see, here's the thing.
Here's what I'm saying.
There's a speculation that the campsite fell within the path of a Soviet parachute mine exercise. Theory suggests woken up by a loud explosion, fled the tent in a shoeless panic, found themselves unable to return for supplies, yada yada yada.
So wait, so you're saying the Soviets dropped a bomb near them?
Parachutes mine detonate while in the air rather than exploding upon the surface.
Okay, so
of the
did
earth.
they find that radiation on the trees and shit too? Because
that's also
testing. Yeah, there were similar theories that radiological weapons is partly based on this discovery.
That's also how they detonate nuclear bombs too. Nuclear bombs don't
they don't hit
the ground. Yeah, they detonate in the air too. So
right, but
if it hit the ground, we'd be fucked. If it actually hit the ground, we would be fucked, terribly fucked.
I think it's more damaging when it because it the force of the explosion hits the ground and also
no. So the reason
if it hits the ground, it'll go into the ground.
Yeah, you're fucked. You're fucked for generations. So exploding it above it, while it will be radioactive in the air around it, if you let it hit the ground, you would kill all living things that are in the ground. You would it would get into tap water, like it would get into everything, and it would fuck.
Yeah, but that's the
for
point, though,
generations.
A
right?
nuclear bomb does that.
Generations
That's the
ago.
point.
A nuclear bomb
No.
did that to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, and there's people living there now because of it.
That was 50
But
years later.
If they had let it hit the ground, there would not be people living there now.
I heard.
That's why, but that's why, like,
a nice place too.
so that's where when you have like nuclear disasters at like power plants and stuff, that's why people can't go back there because the radiation is not just in the air;
okay.
the radiation is in the
hold on.
ground.
That's different. Though.
Can we?
That's
can
nuclear.
We bring it back
meltdown.
for a second. Can we bring it back to this incident?
No.
So research and studies were done
No.
when it happened, but the moment they concluded their decisions, like it was kept secret and done. No like follow-ups or whatever. Shit, I
Russia.
gotta sneeze.
It's Russia.
Ugh.
Bless you, child.
But whew.
Oh,
What I'm
the
saying
episode.
is the fact that they didn't allow any sort of like follow-up investigation for years, kind of weird. Natural forces. I mean, what do you? It's
But, like-
it's
Okay.
the tongue thing for me. How, regardless of what it might be, like hypothermia, like that is. You have to really fucking. You can't. I mean, how are you supposed to pull your tongue out without putting your hand in your mouth? Like you
Bro,
gotta really.
People go nuts.
I don't know.
They were isolated. They were freezing.
I
to
think
death.
something. I think that something.
They probably
is
tried
out
to
there,
eat the damn
like,
tongue.
language
Do you-
tacos are very good.
Yeah,
I
So-
don't know if you've ever had them before. They're really good. But
So
don't
I
see them blanching them
completely-
there.
I completely agree that this is with the other guy that this is probably a Russian military thing because where the pass is located would be directly in the shipping route from the fact that Finland doesn't fucking exist. And
There
they
you
That was our
stumbled
dumbest
upon it.
episode.
They
There you go.
stumbled upon it, and the fucking Russian government
There you
took them
go.
out.
That made Bill
Seen too
stupider.
much.
That made Bill stupider. Shout out to you, Bill. Love you.
They seen too much.
I'm just saying, it all connects, buddy.
They're probably
Everything
looking at a
fucking
map. They're
connects.
like, "Isn't this supposed to be Finland?"
Yeah.
It's got
I just don't like
marked right there.
talking about how like they didn't like go too hard in the investigation. Like, well,
Okay,
for one, it's
so-
Russia, and B, like, who cares?
Explain.
Did you say for
the
one
scratches-
and then B?
Explain. Okay, no.
I
Explain the
did.
scratches on the
I
tree. There was,
did.
explain the scratches on the tree and the broken
call me
limbs,
out.
or like the broken tree limbs.
The broken tree. What are you talking about?
There was like
From the
broken,
cedars.
like yeah, the
From the
trees
cedar
were like
trees.
cut up. From what I saw, like the
Because if it
report
was
that
an
I heard,
avalanche, that tent wouldn't be there.
yeah, but it was like
yeah,
cut up.
probably
Like
would.
there was like cuts in it, not like blunt force trauma. There was like actual like cuts in the trees, and
Yeah,
the
but they
people's like faces getting cut up, like not like just. I mean, like almost like a sharp
In an
object,
unnatural
not
way.
like
in an unnatural
like getting
way.
like not
Yeah,
like
not
falling
like an
or
animal
anything.
chewed on it or anything. Like
Yeah.
it was like
Well, you don't think they like had like a machete or something?
they didn't find any.
Or a
All they found
shovel.
was small knives.
Nothing like that.
Yeah, if there was a fucking avalanche, they're never gonna find that shit. It took them like a couple months or weeks or whatever to
But
find
the
two of the
trees
other
weren't
guys,
bent
right?
either. The trees weren't bent over anything. They were
It
still.
could have been a small avalanche.
I mean,
So-
that's still.
So small
The
enough
tent was still
to
intact.
kill
like,
them
there was
brutally.
folded clothes in the tents.
No.
Explain that.
then.
So,
not-
so again, the Russian government reopened it, and in 2019, and concluded it was a slab avalanche that slid over, and that's what woke them up and all. In 2021, two Swiss scientists actually went over all the evidence using the location, what the climate was, everything that they had, and their direct quote is, "A snow avalanche hypothesis was proposed among other theories, but it was found to be inconsistent with the evidence of a lower than usual slope angle, scarcity of avalanche signs, uncertainties about the trigger mechanism, and abnormal injuries of the victims." So where they located was a 28-degree slope on the mountain for it, and you need at least, at very minimum, a 30-degree slope for an avalanche to happen.
Yeah, but anomalies happen all the time, right? That's essentially what we're talking about.
See, here's another theory. Another group of hikers 30 miles south of the incident reported that they saw strange orange spheres in the sky to the north on the night of the incident.
Yeah.
So,
Here we go.
Aliens.
I mean,
I
aliens.
honestly, my honest opinion is the fact that they fucking killed each other when they all
But
ran.
these are okay.
They
but
all
the-
no. Listen, hold on. They
the-
ran from this slope avalanche that probably happened. From looking at the tent, it looks like it's buried in snow. And they're seasoned hikers, right? They've done
But-
this shit forever. Well,
okay,
not
but hold
forever,
on, wait,
they're only
wait.
20. They've probably been doing it for 2 years. They're not seasoned in anything. All these
So,
people are
yeah.
in their younger 20s. Like, they've done one tundra excursion or some shit, and they're seasoned. Like,
No, they didn't do just one, dude.
bro, they were like
they
23.
Yeah, but they were going for their like expert like hiking certificate.
expert, like the third level. So
they
they've
obviously
already
weren't
done
that
multiple.
expert.
Okay, people died, Justin. Jesus Christ. You know,
It was
fact that-
1959. Come
That
on.
was
I think
just
you're
6
being
years ago,
being
dude.
very insensitive to the
if they were,
families
if
of the
like if
people
it was,
that might be
they would
listening
still
right
be,
now.
they would
Oh,
still be alive
please.
today. Like, come on, let's be for real.
Please. Well, the one guy is probably still right who survived. Who
They would be in
bailed
their
out
80s
with
right
a
now. I
Yeah, he
mean,
probably got snuffed
even-
out.
bailed out with Putin probably killed him.
Yeah.
I just
Just cover up.
So you've seen the pictures of the tent, right, Justin? And you said
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
covered
yeah.
in snow.
Well, it's
Um,
like it's not covered, but like
Can
it looks like it got
you
destroyed.
bring up the pictures so I
But
don't have to?
That also, like they found them. Here, I can share it.
They found them like
Yeah.
miles away. I know.
Right, but they
Yeah,
also like
and that's also another crazy, like miles away. Like seasoned hikers like started hiking in different
Dude, yeah.
directions for miles.
I'm telling you,
That
it
doesn't
has.
So that
doesn't
is-
make any sense.
that's
that
the
looks
tent's
like it
covered
got-
in snow.
It looks like it got crushed.
But it's but if it was an avalanche, I feel like there'd be more snow.
That's also
mean-
like
I mean,
that's
but how
also
long
like
did it-
10 days later. That's like 10
I was
days
gonna
had
say-
passed.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
how long
and
did it take them
it-
to find them?
It continued to snow as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, here's the thing.
So that's easily
Great-
10 days worth of snow that just fucking came out of the sky and landed on
Yeah.
those tents.
Well, I guess they could have like dug it up, and then that's what they took a picture of.
But what I'm saying is like,
There's
if they
two of the
heard
bodies that
something-
they found in the trees.
Ooh, we're gonna have to
The
censor
bodies that they
that.
found in the trees had been covered with blankets too.
But like the whole thing that's weird about it is the fact that they all had each other's clothes on, and that one dude was in his underwear.
Could they have been doing drugs?
Maybe
Could they have
they
been
have
on
been banging.
some?
Russia won't tell us.
Right? Could they have been on some psilocybin
Some
or
LSD.
Dude, you act like the 1960s was so far like so
was the
long
19
ago.
That was the
50s.
50s.
It was very long
1959.
ago.
1959, so you might as well call it 1960.
Look
Yeah,
at what
it's
they're
like-
wearing, bro. Look
Like
at what
7
they're
years
wearing.
ago.
Look at what they're wearing.
Yeah, but they're Russian. You know, like people have lived in Russia like long
That doesn't
before
mean
this, right?
anything, dude. That
Listen, I
doesn't
don't
mean
see any,
shit.
like-
You adapt to your environment.
The
when you grow up
environment
there,
is
dude.
insanely unpredictable.
But they're
Especially in
hiking. They're hiking
Come
from
on.
a village where people live to another village where people live. So people live year round in these conditions, Justin.
Then why
it's
did
not
it
like
take them longer to find the other two people?
well, they had to wait till the snow melted, and then they found them in a riverbed.
Exactly.
Mm. What do you
So it's
mean?
not that
that-
easy. Can't be that easy.
No, I'm not saying it's
Nope.
that easy, but I'm just saying like people live in these areas. It's not
Yeah,
like
But they
it's
don't
not.
hike from village to village.
How do you think they
Have
get
to.
from fucking village
They
to
live
village,
in
bro?
one goddamn
They're
village.
not taking an Uber. They're
Yeah.
not taking an
They're
Uber
not.
to the
They're
next
not. They're not
village.
hiking like these dudes were hiking. There's no way.
How
There's
else
no
would they
fucking
get-
way. These guys
Let's
were
go to-
going on an excursion.
Yeah, but
this
it's
is for fun for
The
sure.
people who live in those villages are just
But-
living. They're surviving.
Yeah.
Like
That-
where they
okay.
were, there's no reason to be where they were.
But
They're
they were
trying to-
they
for
were
fun.
trying
They're hiking
again.
it.
They were trying to get their
They're expert-
certification to get
yeah.
for the grade 3 whatever it was.
Mhm.
I'm
Grade
just
3
saying.
is grade 3 is covering 500 miles of excursion. That is a
That's absurd.
lot. So think about it. They were definitely experienced. They knew what
Also,
they
why
were
would you
getting
do it
themselves
there?
into.
They weren't that experienced, obviously.
Hike somewhere
But-
warmer. Yeah.
500
Also-
miles.
You're warmer.
500
somewhere
miles of
warmer.
hiking in
like fucking hike
that
around
type of weather.
Bermuda.
Yeah. What? Like,
I'm sorry, Justin. Is that not enough for you? 500 miles in a type of condition like that? That's not
I'm just
experienced
saying,
enough?
dude. I mean, they
You're-
obviously weren't prepared.
You can't consider distance versus the amount of time that you spend out there.
They obviously weren't prepared.
should just hike a small 5-mile circle for 500 miles.
Like I said, this is 1959. When was when did we have the first hiker get to the South Pole? In like the 20s? That dude fucking
South
died.
Pole?
or the North Pole, whatever.
The South Pole. You mean?
Someone needs to fact check this man
You
right
mean
now.
I'm
the
serious.
ice
Ice
wall?
wall?
You mean the ice wall?
Easy now. All right, it was the North Pole.
I'm just saying, I don't
Was that Marco
believe
Polo
he
that
just
did
kind
that?
of, just kind of.
No,
No.
No.
it was
hiked all
Robert
over the
Edwin
place.
Peary Sr.
And the thing is,
1909.
1909.
their deaths
Oh, see, they've been
aren't
doing it.
They're not. They're not confirmed. It's supposed.
What are you talking about? They found their bodies.
Yeah, but they don't. They came to just a decision to say hypothermia, but there was inconclusive evidence to actually state maybe possibly something else. So they just came to the ultimate decision, like we're just gonna call it hypothermia. That's why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are labeled supposed deaths would be hypothermia.
Mm.
I mean,
I just don't find it plausible. I think
it's absolutely
my
plausible.
my theory is it's
was
not
like-
animals.
it's like
It's not an
negative
earth.
20
It's,
degrees where
it's
they
not
were.
a. It's not a. It's a blizzard. And then they saw the Russian Yeti,
There it is.
ripped it from the inside out, and then okay, fine. So
They weren't
they
ripping
found
the
the
inside
tent.
out.
No,
If
keep
it-
going,
Okay,
keep
listen.
going.
If they found the tent in like how it was, explain the folded clothes that were in the tent. Then, if it was an avalanche, those clothes would not be folded.
Okay, then maybe
So-
it was an avalanche.
but
Okay,
I'm not
that's
done.
scary.
So the Yeti came in, they tore it up from the inside out,
Folded the
scared
clothes. And then,
Yeah, they folded the clothes, and then
Yeti
they
folded the clothes.
yeah.
and then they all dispersed because I think some of them were in a riverbed, some of them were in a tree. They hid,
They weren't
One
in a
of them-
tree.
some of
They were
them,
in a
sir-
forest of trees.
so maybe they just got attacked and got thrown into the trees, and that's how the limbs
Or
got broken
they
out of the
fucking
trees.
killed each other.
Boom, boom,
Mm.
boom.
Or
Just
they
solved
killed
it right
each other
here.
because they went crazy because they were freezing to death.
Okay, so explain.
Hear me
Okay,
out.
explain the scratches and the broken tree limbs.
I got you. Ready, Nick?
Scratch nails. Boom.
Here's what happens. They set up camp, right? Floating orange orbs,
Oh god.
alien spaceships coming down. The thrusters from the alien spaceship, slab fucking avalanche. People freak out,
Let them cook.
start running.
Let them cook.
When they're running fucking butt naked through the woods, scare the Yeti that's hiding in the trees.
Let
And
him
then scare
cook.
the clothes off.
He comes fucking down, murders all of them.
Boom. Done.
I
Take
didn't know
that,
Yetis lived in
Russia.
trees.
Take
Yeah.
that, Russia. We figured that shit out in 20 minutes.
Why were the
Yeah,
aliens
shit on
coming
us.
down? Aliens
We
were
got
coming
shit.
down because they are also invested in the lie that is Finland.
Hmm.
All of it
You
connects.
gotta stop.
Everything's there.
You gotta stop.
Boom, son.
You gotta stop.
Drop the mic.
Boom.
I need my chart back here that I can just fucking point to about all this shit.
Booty Hole Jones needs to stop fucking talking about Finland. Just needs to stop it.
It's been great hanging out with you guys. Peace, love. Say thank you every once in a while. Justin Baby Boy, cue the damn music. We out, motherfucker.